This is Newsboy Audio. Welcome back to my channel. This is a monitor audio speaker.
Cut! You're not Newsboy. Hello everybody, Newsboy Audio here, the real one this time. Anyways, we got to use some speaker porn, monitor audio RS5. Yeah, this speaker was produced by Monitor Audio, who is now going through their 50-year anniversary, just like CAF is. And they're just like CAF, they're a British company, and they are actually a little less known than both CAF and Bowers and Wilkins, and they just you don't see many of their speakers as often, and people are really not talking about Monitor Audio as much, despite the fact that they are making some amazing speakers that really shine. They just don't have the popularity of a CAF or Bowers and Wilkins, and that drives the prices down, so you can find amazing speakers for very good price, and this is absolutely one of them. Monitor Audio starts with a aluminum woofer. It's only a few inches. I could put the actual dimensions in the direction in the thing. I think it's a 3-inch or a 4-inch woofer, but it's not very big. And they've got aluminum tweeter with a silver coating on it, and it's covered by this grill to help protect it. So there's not going to be the Bow & Wilkins punched in drivers that you see with the 600 series and the other things. You really have to pound this in order to damage the tweeter, which is very nice. However, they've got the exposed woofer. So what you will see with this is dents and things in the aluminum, which is really sad and just not very, is the problem with these. I really wish they had a grill on these, especially if you have kids, but it's not as big of a problem as I see with the tweeters, and many times you can find parts if something does happen. It is a tower speaker, which in my opinion is a very good choice for many applications like side speakers and front channels. And the reason I like tower speakers is because you usually end up buying a bookshelf speaker that chops off here, and then you need to buy a stand. And for those applications, you really need to start putting them in those places with the stand on them. But this kind of incorporates the stand, and in addition, this additional volume of the speaker is not lost at all. The woofer can use this enclosure to be able to go down deeper. And so the enclosure, the larger the enclosure, the lower you can go. Now, it's not very depth, so what it does is it makes a lower profile, smaller back, and it allows the speaker to have the larger volume, which drops the bass down a little bit lower. So you will see this dropping off around 60 hertz, 70 hertz. I've had trouble finding graphs exactly where it starts to cut down. But with towers, I am a firm believer you still need a subwoofer. So it's not going to replace a subwoofer, and it doesn't have the bass that the RS6 does either, which has multiple of these drivers up here. That really provides a little bit more lower end bass for the speaker and really can help perform the speaker. It is a rear-ported design, and I will spin the speaker around a little bit. Down on the bottom, they have this flared bass, which I really like. It looks nice, and then they have the pegs that go into it. And it just makes an overall look that's beautiful. I'm using little coasters down here. Design. I like the silver look on it. It's a laminate, probably MDF. I haven't seen inside of it or taken it off. I believe they're MDF. But some of these British speakers are made out of plywood, which I'm not, or particle board, which I'm not as a fan of. MDF is used commonly because it has a very low resonance frequency. But as you can see, this does knock a little bit. And so it does have some resonance. If you watch my KEF video that I just released, the KEF LS50 versus the KEF LS50 Meta, you will see here a complete difference with those speakers. When you knock on those, it knocks like a brick. This has a little bit bouncing, which tells me that the speaker, the enclosure is a little resonance, and you'll hear a little bit of distortion from that after the sound. So when the cutoff of the sound happens, when the drum stops vibrating, you'll hear a little muddleness as the enclosure continues to ring, and that is typically what you find if there's not enough supporting inside of it. But this isn't bad, it's just not as good as the more expensive KEF LS50 or the Focals over there, which isn't surprising either. They're not as accurate as a more expensive speaker like the LS50 Meta or like the Monitor Audio. But again, this one sells for approximately $200 to $300, while those generally sell for $400 or $500. At least the KEF LS50 Meta is now selling $900 on the used market. It's over $1,000 brand new. This speaker was also around the $500 mark, I believe, brand new. I saw it was about $450. I paid way too much for this speaker. I got away with the auction, and it was one of the few times I'm going to lose money on a speaker. It really sells for about $250 to $300, maybe $200. If you really want to sell it fast, you can get it down there. But it's a beautiful speaker, as I said. The other enclosures are wood grain, and it provides a black enclosure, but they all have the silver. I have heard the newer Monitor Audio silvers, specifically the Monitor Audio 200 silvers. My uncle bought that speaker, and I'm a huge fan of it. It's absolutely beautiful. What they've done in the newer ones is they've now gone with the industry standard, which is imprinting a pattern onto the aluminum itself. And what that does is it increases surface area. So it makes the speaker perform like it's a little larger than it actually is. But it also increases the weight of the driver. So when the driver is moving in and out, it's going to have a little bit more weight. Those things should start to taper each other off. One's a negative, one's a positive. But we're seeing with like the KEF LS50 and with the Monitor Audio silvers is that it comes out ahead. The imprinted drivers are definitely a plus, and it's been one of the major manufacturing changes that have occurred and technological changes that have occurred in the last 10 to 20 years in speaker design. You see it with the KEF LS50s, and it's becoming extremely popular because it gives that a performance improvement, that additional surface area. It makes the speaker perform larger and act like it's actually larger. And that's a very, very good benefit to it. But these have the more smoother, flatter silver aluminum. It also, the patterns itself will strengthen the aluminum oftentimes. And the factors you need when building a driver are a lot of rigidity to the surface area, low weight, which we talked about, and then just a very good surface area. And those are the factors to how a driver performs. And so these imprinted drivers both add increased strength and increase surface area, which ultimately do perform better. And you're seeing them across the scale. KEF LS50's coming out with them. KEF on almost every speaker is coming out with them, and same with Monitor. monitors using a golf ball design more like. They have little holes in the They sound fantastic. They've got a very wide sound stage. The bass drops low. It's only a small woofer, and it doesn't have any additional woofers that the RS6 has. So it will drop a little earlier on the bass. Subwoofer is always recommended, even with towers by me. I've never gotten away without using a subwoofer, especially in home theater applications. So subwoofers are just generally a given. They're the unsung heroes of the audio industry, in my opinion. You could always use a subwoofer even with $1 million speakers, and I've seen $1 million speakers and I would not have been happy without a subwoofer. It's just because you could put them in a separate positioning. Also, you can optimize the amplification for a subwoofer very easily using Class D amps and other things. So that works very well for what I recommend. But with this above the 80 hertz and the 70 hertz, and probably even it gets down to 60 hertz, you've got amazing highs, a wide sound stage, and they just don't seem to have much of a crossover point. They have a little bit. Very clear highs. It's a very clear speaker. It's not as precise as your panel speakers or your more expensive focals, for instance. But it is, for the price, it's extremely good, and it's kind of forgotten. I think it's way underpriced on the used market. So if you are looking for a pair of speakers, if you're looking for garage speakers, if you're looking for a second pair of speakers, or if you're even looking for an affordable home audio system, this is a great place to start. You can buy a ton of these for very cheap and have a really, really, really good sound system. 6 ohms, so it's a little bit more demanding than what you will need. Absolutely, you need to have a little bit more better of an amplifier typically to power these due to that lower ohm rating. Lower ohms are definitely more trickier to perform. Let's see if we could turn this around for you all. As you can see, it's a bi-wire. It allows for bi-wiring, which I'm going to start playing with a little bit. I haven't played with it as much. Need to experience bi-wiring. Comment, tell me if you like bi-wiring, if it's worth it. I've got extra amps, so I'm going to be playing with that. Maybe I'll come out with a video on it. Got your port up here, a little small black port, and then the monitor logo on this plastic back plate. It actually looks very high quality. The silver coating doesn't scratch very well, and you've got everything you need on the back, the serial number and everything else. It is a certified, CE certified. We talked about that in safety. This is certified by CE, so it won't burn your house down, though. Typically not a problem with speakers as much since they are using lower voltages. It can happen. It's nice to have CE or UL approval on all speakers and these British brands, the major manufacturers typically. Monitor Audio Silvers RS5s, very good buy in my opinion. One of the best buys you can have in the British market, and if you like British speakers, very affordable. Probably way too affordable. There's a ton of speakers of these on the markets right now. I'm seeing 30, 40, 50 speakers available on the Hi-Fi Shark right now. If you want to check it out, hifishark.com. I'm not affiliated with them, so this isn't a paid promotion or anything, just a recommendation. Also, AudioGone offers some price comparisons. Either site is very good for shopping for these used speakers, and you can go there, look for the monitor audios, either get the silvers, or if you want to even, you can upgrade to the golds. They're a little bit more, but they do sound a lot better. And they will improve the clarity of the speaker a little bit, and they definitely improve the bass handling and other characteristics. A few other characteristics I wanted to say, these are 6 ohm speakers from my understanding. They handle about 100 watts. And in my opinion, their biggest weakness is probably they're just, as I said, they're not as clear as everything else. They don't have low down bass as the RS6 or the RS8s offer. So they do drop off. You need a sub a lot more, but they work very well for the surround sound type speaker situation or the rear type situation. You don't need a bass, as I said, and they're a little larger. This finish is absolutely fantastic. It hides scratches very well, and it looks great. And the metal cover on the tweeter, I really appreciate. Bauer & Wilkins, you're always seeing punched in tweeters. These, you will never see that because you got that grill protecting your speaker. Unless you really pound it hard, you're not going to damage them. So great, better for kids if you live in a kid's environment or an environment with animals. But again, the woofer itself is a little bit exposed, and so you will see more damage with a woofer coming through. And there is no covers for them. So kind of, give or take either way, but great speaker. I just wanted to show you. I'll take some extra shots of this, make some shorts of it, and see what you all think. So let me talk to you about my channel. I'm trying to make this channel work. I show a lot of unknown speakers. So if you really want to see something different, not the usual, I do have some usual speakers, some newer stuff on there, but I also come out with a lot of these older ones. So like and subscribe if that's the type of content you want to see. And we're just going to have a lot of discussions about this stuff and just have fun making it. That's why we're here, is to have fun. This is not a profession for us. If we hit 1 million subscribers, that would be great, but it's just something we're doing for fun. We're not expecting that. We love to buy this gear and sell this gear, so we get this quite a bit, and then we just play with it and listen to it and see what ones we like the most, and really trying to explore more gear and everything else. So please like and subscribe my channel. There's a little hat down there you can click on if you want to subscribe. You also could go to my pet channel page, look at some other things, and share my videos. If you know of a Facebook group, post my video on there. If you like Reddit, post my videos there. That helps out a tremendous amount, getting people to see this great technology, and allows us to document more of this technology, because this is part of our history. I know it's kind of weird, but a lot of this devices, especially the unknown stuff, they're part of our actual history, and we really want to document it and have some fun doing it. Anyways, thank you for watching my video. Peace out.